Hello everyone, how's it going? You probably know what a space portal is. It's a kind of energy space that lets you travel to another place. But imagine if that portal took you to a different timeline instead. That's a time portal. There are many time portals on Earth, and in this movie, a young boy finds one that lets him travel through time. His adventures cause changes in his family, and the movie shows how everything unfolds in an interesting way. It begins in 1990 with a young boy named Theo, who loves Madonna. He's playing football with his friends and jokingly says, "This ball belongs to a Madonna fan." He kicks the ball with all his strength, making a great goal. After the game, he goes over to his friends and asks if they finished their homework. When they say yes, Theo is happy because they did his homework for him in exchange for a chance to play his video game. Theo then grabs his video game and homework notebook and runs home. But instead of going through the door, he climbs up the pipe and enters his room through the window. Theo also has an older brother named Oscar. Oscar is a responsible and caring person who helps out around the house. They don't have parents, only a grandmother. Oscar is taking care of a turtle, which he loves very much. One night, when Theo's room is still locked, Oscar goes to check on him. He finds Theo sitting in his room after jumping through the window. Oscar asks, "Did you climb through the pipe to get in?" Theo responds, "What are you talking about? I've been in here doing my homework for a while. Look, here's my notebook." Oscar, surprised, says, "Wow, you even finished your homework." Then he notices that Theo injured his leg while playing football, so he takes care of it by applying medicine. Oscar is a very caring brother. He knows Theo isn't always honest, but doesn't tell their grandmother. Later, while Oscar is studying, Theo asks when they can go to the movies. Oscar replies, "You never asked me to hang out. What's going on today?" Theo explains, "Grandma gave me pocket money, but it's all gone. Yours is still the same, so you should take me to the movies." Oscar says he can't because he needs to study, and then Theo asks, "Why are you still reading Mom's books?" Oscar answers, "Because I'm trying to find her." Theo adds, "But people in the neighborhood are saying Mom ran off with someone and won't come back." Oscar responds, "Those people don't know anything. Mom is a scientist and she discovered a time portal. She's traveling through time." Theo doubts him, saying, "Time travel isn't real." But Oscar insists, "It's true, little brother. One day I'll open a time portal and find Mom. Let me introduce you to Alina, Oscar's best friend." Oscar really likes her, but since he's a shy boy, he never tells her how he feels. Alina's dad, David, owns a department store, and he often tells Oscar stories from around the world, which Oscar finds a bit boring. One day when Oscar's leaving, he sees Alina, Theo, and some of her friends heading out to watch a movie. Alina asks Oscar, "Do you want to come with us?" Oscar wants to go, but before he can say anything, Theo steps in and says, "No, Oscar's too busy. He doesn't have time to watch the movie." Then Theo walks away with Alina and the others. Oscar feels too shy to say anything and ends up missing the chance to go with Alina. He's upset with Theo for ruining his chance to spend time with her and wants to get back at him. That night, after Theo comes home from the movie, he climbs the pipe to enter his room through the window, but to his surprise, Grandma is standing there, meaning Oscar must have told her everything. Theo, feeling angry and wanting revenge, decides to mess with Oscar. He finds one of his mother's research books, and while Oscar isn't around, tears up the pages and starts building a rocket. He finds a photo of his mother standing on the terrace in a red dress and puts it in his pocket. There's also a list written on paper, which he hides inside a dictionary. Later, Theo goes up to the terrace, eating a banana, and throws the peel down. Suddenly, a portal opens, and the peel disappears inside. Theo is confused and goes down to check, but the peel is gone, and he can't figure out where it went. He decides to throw his roller skates down, and the same thing happens. The skates disappear into the portal. Surprised, Theo throws a stone, and it vanishes into the portal too. Theo goes to Oscar and tells him about the time portal, but Oscar gets really angry because Theo had torn up his research notes and made a rocket. Theo tries to explain, saying he discovered a time portal, but Oscar doesn't believe him, thinking he's just making fun of him. The two start fighting, and their grandmother calls them to eat buns. She reminisces about how their grandfather used to make soft buns and how much she misses them, which makes Theo and Oscar pause for a moment. But once she leaves, their argument continues, with Oscar calling Theo various animal names. Theo, feeling angry, decides to take Oscar's favorite turtle to the terrace and throws it into the time portal, causing the turtle to disappear. Oscar is devastated and starts putting up missing posters for the turtle. He cries a lot, and Theo realizes the mistake he made. That night, to make things right, Theo jumps into the time portal and lands where everything he threw into it, including the turtle, is lying. He finds the turtle, takes it home, and quietly goes to bed. But then, something strange happens. Can you guess what it is? If you have a guess, don't spoil it. Just give a thumbs up. The next morning, Theo is still sleeping, but Oscar wakes up and gets ready for work. However, Oscar is no longer a child. He's grown up and has a beard. It turns out it's not 1990 anymore, but 2022. Theo has accidentally traveled to the future through the time portal and doesn't realize it. Meanwhile, in 2022, Oscar works as a physics professor, and he goes to the department store owned by Elena's father, David, to get groceries. Oscar asks about their grandmother's health. Elena, who is divorced with 2 children, shows up, and it's clear Oscar still has feelings for her. Elena works as an English professor at the same university. Back at home, Theo wakes up, calls out to Oscar, and brings back the turtle he had thrown into the portal. When their grandmother enters, now much older, she is confused about who Theo is. Oscar faints when he sees Theo as a child, and when he wakes up, he asks, "Is it really you, Theo?" Theo, confused, asks, "How do you know my name? And who are you?" Oscar explains he's his older brother, but Theo is shocked by how much older Oscar is. After some conversation, Theo realizes he's in the year 2022, having traveled through time. They argue, with Theo frustrated about Oscar tearing up their mother's research notes. Theo then shows Oscar a photo of their mother standing on the roof, where the time portal is. Oscar finally understands that time portals exist at the quantum level, linking different periods in time. Theo, still confused, just wants to return to 1990 because their grandmother from that time will be mad at him for being late. Theo goes up to the terrace and tests the time portal by placing a stone where the portal used to be, but the stone bounces off, indicating the portal is closed in 2022. Theo is confused about how the time portal could be closed. Oscar explains that the portal starts in 1990 and ends in 2022, allowing travel from 1990 to 2022, but not the other way around. Oscar tells Theo they need to find another portal that will let them travel back from 2022 to 1990. To learn more, Oscar takes Theo to meet a senior professor, but the professor doesn't believe in time portals. He dismisses the idea, saying that with all the advancements in science and technology in 2022, time travel is just fantasy. Theo, amazed by the modern world, sees Oscar's phone and asks, "What is this thing?" Oscar explains that it's a phone, but unlike old phones, it has no wires and no dial. It can also take pictures and make video calls to anyone around the world. Theo is stunned by how much things have changed. When they get home, Oscar's colleague asks about Theo, thinking he's Oscar's brother who went missing as a child. Oscar quickly says, "No, this is my cousin's son. Don't take everything Grandma says seriously." Theo introduces himself as Diego Armando and mentions that his name sounds like Maradona, the famous football player who recently passed away. Hearing this, Theo is shocked and upset by the news of Maradona's death. He starts crying, saying, "Brother, why didn't you tell me Maradona is dead? You know how big a fan I am of him." Oscar tries to comfort him, reminding him that they need to focus on figuring out how to get back to 1990. Now Oscar starts doing many calculations to find out where the other portals might be. Then Theo mentions a list their mother kept. "Hey list, what list are you talking about?" Oscar asks. Theo replies, "That day I was really mad at you, so to get back at you, I hid that list in a dictionary. By the way, don't you use those books anymore?" Oscar says that nobody really uses books these days because everything is online. "Oh, okay, but I put it inside the dictionary," Theo adds. When Oscar asks their grandmother about the dictionary, she says she gave it to David. That night, both of them go to sleep, and the next morning Oscar tells Theo that he is going to see Elena's father, David. He warns Theo to stay home. Despite this, Theo sneaks out and ends up in a big mall. He's amazed by all the gadgets there, especially a VR headset which he tries on and accidentally breaks while playing games. Because of this, Oscar gets called and has to pay for the damages. He scolds Theo for not listening and causing trouble. Later, they go to David's department store to ask about the dictionary. David says it's at his house. As they're talking, Elena walks in. Theo is surprised and says she has grown up to be very beautiful. Elena, puzzled, asks who he is and how he knows her name. Oscar quickly explains that Theo is his cousin's son, and he had mentioned her before, but David jokes, saying he doesn't understand why, but looking at Theo makes him feel old, hinting he might lose his last few hairs from the stress. Oscar quickly changes the subject to lighten the mood. Then Elena invites Oscar and Theo to her house, where her 2 kids, a boy and a girl, are busy playing the latest mobile games. Theo is impressed and joins in, playing the new games. Meanwhile, Oscar finds the list their mother had left inside the dictionary and tells Theo that they can go home now since he's found what they needed. Elena suggests letting Theo play a bit longer since he's enjoying himself and offers to bring him back later. However, Elena's children start teasing Theo because he's not familiar with the latest games and gadgets. They even use Alexa to check the time, showing off more of their tech savvy. Back at their place, Oscar and Theo go to the terrace where Oscar explains that the list might have coordinates to different time portals. They try to verify these locations by dropping objects to see if portals appear, but nothing happens. Oscar thinks he might have made a mistake in his calculations and decides they should go back home to try again. At home, Theo asks Oscar why he doesn't doesn't have any friends and why he stays alone all the time. He also asks about Alina, hinting that Oscar should tell her how he feels. Oscar dismisses the idea, reminding Theo that Alina is divorced, but he doesn't think a relationship would work out. Without Oscar's knowledge, Theo uses Oscar's mobile to invite Elena, David, and Elena's children over for a small gathering at their house. When everyone arrives, Oscar is surprised and confused. David teases him, saying, "Hey, what's with the look, son? Weren't you the one who invited Elena?" Theo then admits that he was the one who sent the message, and he ushers everyone inside. Oscar realizes that Theo was up to his usual mischief. As everyone settles down to chat, their grandmother starts to introduce her younger grandson, pointing to Theo, but Theo quickly corrects her, saying his real name is Diego Armando, which is what their grandmother actually calls him. Hearing this, David feels like he has seen Theo before, pondering where he might have encountered him. During the get-together, Theo and Elena bond well, leading Elena to take Theo shopping, where she buys him a new outfit. While in the changing room, Theo playfully does a running commentary as if he's playing soccer, exclaiming, "Now the ball is with the Maradona fan, and he hits this strong kick and this goal. Yes, Theo wins. Theo is the best." Elena, listening to Theo's enthusiastic play acting, is struck by a sense of familiarity. She suddenly asks, "Is it really you, Theo?" and recalls his childhood face. Elena is puzzled and asks how it's possible for Theo to be the same after so many years. Theo explains that he jumped through one of the time portals his mother had researched, traveling from 1990 straight to 2022. Elena is skeptical but cannot deny the evidence before her eyes. She asks Oscar for clarification, and he demonstrates by throwing a stone off the roof, which bounces back, indicating the presence of a time portal from 1990. Oscar explains there are 3 types of time portals. The first type allows direct travel between specific times, the second sends you to a random timeline, and the third is dangerous because it has no exit, trapping anyone who enters. Theo used the first type of portal to arrive in 2022. Oscar and Elena realize they need to find the correct portal to send Theo back to 1990 safely. As they start their research, Oscar begins to enjoy Elena's daily visits and looks forward to them. He even dances around happily when alone, resuming his composure as soon as Elena arrives. Together, they work on finding the right portal using the list left by Oscar's mother. Elena reflects on the implications of sending Theo back to 1990. She explains that changing the past might prevent her current children from existing, as altering events could mean she never meets her future husband or has children. This thought deeply affects her because she loves her children dearly. Oscar reassures Elena that even if Theo returns to 1990 and changes the timeline, it wouldn't affect her current life. He promises to find a way to preserve her timeline while still helping Theo. They continue their quest, committed to solving this complex challenge of time and consequences, hoping to maintain the integrity of both their timelines. As the events unfold, Theo, feeling responsible and understanding the importance of Elena's children to her, uses the coordinates from his mother's list to ask Elena's children, Brenda and Nathan, for help. He explains that he is from the past and unfamiliar with modern technology, but promises to show them a miracle if they guide him to the specified location. They use a map to find their way to a beach, which Theo claims is a time portal that can transport them back to 1990. Excited, Theo jumps into the water at the beach, followed hesitantly by Brenda and Nathan. They expect nothing extraordinary, perhaps a swim to the shore, but are astounded when they resurface to find the city replaced by mountains. This sudden change confirms Theo's claim, but he realizes they've not arrived in 1990 as planned, but seem to have traveled even further back to around 1949. Not the intended destination. The group, now stuck in the past, tries to make sense of their situation. Theo scratches his head, equally confused, and admits they may have entered a different type of time portal that has taken them to a random timeline. Meanwhile, back in 2022, a worried Elena contacts Oscar to report her children and Theo missing. Oscar speculates they might have found the correct portal and suggests they too should head to 1990 to retrieve them. Back in 1949, with no internet, unusable currency, and modern gadgets like mobile phones and wireless earphones, Brenda and Nathan are out of place and hungry. They devise a clever plan to use their technology to perform a mind-reading trick. Nathan sits away from the crowd, viewing names written on a board by the audience, which he secretly communicates to Brenda through the wireless earphones. Brenda, acting as if she possesses psychic abilities, amazes the onlookers by correctly stating the words. This spectacle helps them earn some money. However, their performance attracts police attention due to the prohibition of such public displays without permission. Theo, recognizing the danger, signals them, and they quickly flee the scene. In the midst of their escape, a mysterious man kidnaps all 3, taking them to an unknown location, adding another layer of complexity and danger to their unintended adventure in the past. Oscar and Elena, determined to find Theo and the children, discover the location of the time portal that leads to 1990 at a construction site. Holding hands and counting together, 1, 2, 3, they jump into the portal and are instantly transported to 1990. Elena is overwhelmed by the reality of time travel, questioning if she's dreaming as she sees posters of Theo missing from this timeline. Theo had originally traveled from this time to 2022 through the time portal, but now he finds himself mistakenly in 1949. Meanwhile, in 1949, the man who kidnapped Theo, Brenda, and Nathan brings them to a hideout of a gang that opposes the government. The gang's leader questions why the children were brought in, and the man explains that they know the gang's secret code word. Confused, Theo asks about the code word, and the man reveals it's the unique whistling sound Theo made, which coincidentally is the gang's recent secret signal. Theo is stunned to learn that the whistle, taught to him by his grandmother, is also known by the gang. The situation becomes even more astonishing when a young woman from the gang approaches, and Theo recognizes her. It's his grandmother when she was younger. Theo learns that his grandmother was once a member of this gang, which explains her knowledge of the distinctive whistle. This revelation shocks Theo, but he keeps the recognition to himself and warmly embraces his young grandmother. The gang, despite their secretive and anti-government actions, is committed to the welfare of the people and doesn't harm children. Realizing they are safe for now, Theo, Brenda, and Nathan start adapting to life in 1949 with the gang, amidst the complexities of their unintended time travel. In 1990, Oscar and Elena search Oscar's house for any sign of Theo, Brenda, and Nathan, but find it empty. They suddenly hear someone and quickly hide in a cupboard. It turns out to be the younger Oscar from that timeline, who enters the room and, overwhelmed by memories of Theo, starts crying. The future Oscar, witnessing this, feels deeply saddened. Meanwhile, in 1949, the three children have settled into their unexpected new life, realizing they cannot return through the same portal they used to arrive, as it only serves as an exit. They begin to embrace their situation, especially since Theo's young grandmother is with them. Theo, seizing a moment, asks his grandmother to take a photo with him, Brenda, and Nathan to preserve their time together. He insists she keep this photo forever, even when she grows old, and she promises to frame and cherish it. Back in 1990, Oscar and Elena notice a miraculous change in an old photo of the grandmother as a young girl. It suddenly includes Theo, Brenda, and Nathan. Theo, foreseeing the potential need, had written the coordinates of the time portal they used on the back of the photo, providing Oscar and Elena with a crucial clue. They realize they must first return to 2022 to use the correct portal to reach 1949 and then retrieve the children and Theo. Oscar and Elena plan to travel through time again. They need to go back to 2022, find the portal indicated by the coordinates, and then travel to 1949. Once there, they intend to bring everyone back to 2022 and finally send Theo back to 1989, ensuring he returns to his original timeline. Following their plan, Oscar and Elena use the time portal to get back to 2022. They then locate and travel through the portal marked on the photo. Arriving in 1949, they are greeted by two members of the grandmother's resistance gang. Theo had told the members of the resistance gang that his brother Oscar would come looking for him, so they were waiting for him. To confirm that it was really Theo's brother, they used a special whistle code that their grandmother had taught Oscar. When Oscar correctly responded with the whistle, they knew he was indeed Theo's brother and led him and Elena to their grandmother. Elena was overjoyed to see her children, but Theo expressed his desire to stay in 1949, saying he really liked this timeline. Oscar was upset by this and pleaded with Theo not to leave him alone in 1990, admitting that despite their fights and his scolding, Theo was his only friend and like a brother to him. He reminisced about how lonely he felt without Theo and how he saw the younger Oscar crying over Theo's disappearance. At this point, their grandmother joined them, and Oscar was surprised but remained quiet. They then had to find the time portal that would take them back to 2022. As they prepared to leave in a car driven by a member of the resistance, the driver, who was actually their grandfather, gave some buns to the grandmother. She remarked on how delicious they were and began eating them happily. Oscar and Theo realized that the driver was their grandfather, and their grandmother had always loved his buns. Before they left, they made sure to take some extra buns with them. When they eventually found the portal and returned to 2022, they gave the buns to their grandmother, who was shocked that they tasted just like the ones her husband woman used to make. She enjoyed the buns immensely, happy to relive a taste from the past. In the midst of their emotional reunion, Oscar prepares to send Theo back to 1989 using the time portal at the construction site. However, Theo hesitates, feeling the weight of returning to a timeline where he has neither his mother nor father, expressing his loneliness and desire to stay with Oscar, whom he views as a father figure. Moved by Theo's plea, Oscar embraces him tightly, feeling torn. He explains that the Oscar of 1990, his younger self, desperately needs Theo for companionship and support, promising that he will look after Theo like a parent would. Reluctantly, Theo agrees to return to 1990, where his reappearance brings immense joy and relief. Upon his return, he is greeted with love and concern, particularly from his grandmother, who asks about his whereabouts. Instead of revealing his time travel adventures, Theo fabricates a story about escaping from a gang's kidnapping, keeping the complex truth to himself. Meanwhile, the narrative reveals a stressed younger Oscar in 1990, who, in his desperation and confusion about Theo's disappearance, suspects that their mother might have abandoned them. In his frustration, he begins to discard books around the house, symbolizing his sense of loss and betrayal. When Theo reappears, he tries to explain the truth about his time traveling to a skeptical Oscar, even showing him a mobile phone from 2022 as a proof of his journey. Despite the absence of internet to demonstrate its functionality, the presence of the futuristic device is enough to make young Oscar start to believe Theo's incredible story. The brothers decide to abandon further use of the time portals, choosing to focus on rebuilding their lives in their current timeline. Many years later, in 2022, the brothers Oscar and Theo are together when the doorbell rings. Theo jokes that it must be Oscar's girlfriend, Elena. He encourages Oscar to confess his feelings, especially now that Elena is divorced. Theo had held back from suggesting Oscar propose earlier because Elena was worried that changes in the timeline might mean she wouldn't have her children, whom she loves deeply. Oscar had promised her that no matter what happens with the timeline, her life wouldn't change. Now that Elena's children, Brenda and Nathan, are born and she is divorced, Theo feels it's the right time for Oscar to make his move. Oscar opens the door, and Elena is there, setting the stage for a new chapter in their lives filled with potential love. However, the scene quickly shifts to a distant past where a portal opens and a woman steps out. This woman is Oscar and Theo's mother, who has traveled back in time. In this ancient era, people are full of superstitions and aren't knowledgeable about science. Being a scientist herself, their mother might start teaching the people about science, which could lead to significant changes in the future. The movie wraps up with this twist, leaving viewers pondering the impact of time travel and changes across eras. How did you like this Spanish film? If you enjoyed this summary, please like and subscribe for more. Take care of yourself, and thanks for watching.
अब आओ ना फिर से मिल जाओ ना फिर से जलाओ ना मुझे मिटाओ ना यूं दिल से अब आओ ना फिर से मिल जाओ ना फिर से जलाओ ना मुझे मिटाओ ना यूं दिल से कोई प्यार ना दे यूं जैसे मुझको चाहती है तू ज़माने के जैसी न बन मेरे यार जैसी है तू ज़माना जलाता मुझे लगाती गले फिर से तू मैं गिर के उठा हूँ अभी हर चीज सिखाती है तू मैं लिख आया कहानी अपनी जो बीती जिंदगानी अपनी जो खोया मैंने है वो खोया मैं रात जाग के हूँ रोया मैं लिख आया कहानी अपनी जो बीती जिंदगानी अपनी जो खोया मैंने है वो खोया मैं रात जाग के हूँ रोया 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 ख्वाहिश मेरी रह गई तुझसे मिलूं मैं कभी तुझको मैं प्यार दूं और बेशुमार दूं दिल तो जला है बहुत इसकी सजा है बहुत फिर भी तेरा ही रहा मेरी नहीं मानता जितना भी चाहूं तुम्हें मिलना है दर्द मुझे होता है क्या इस तरह इश्क यहाँ, तुम जो मेरी ना बनी किसको बताता फिरूं, ये दाग दिल अपना किसको दिखाता फिरूं। वक्त बदलता है सबका, तुझको तो इसका पता था, फिर मुंह क्यों मोड़ गई थी, मुझको यूं छोड़ गई थी। साथ निभाना था मैंने, दिल भी जलाना था मैंने, फिर क्यों मेरी ना बनी थी और ये सजा बन गई थी। जिसको मैं जीता रहा था, ये दर्द पीता रहा था। ऐसी निशानी है तू, ऐसी कहानी है तू। मैं लिख आया कहानी अपनी जो बीती जिंदगानी, अपनी जो खोया मैंने है वो खोया मैं रात जाग के रोया। मैं लिख आया कहानी अपनी जो बीती जिंदगानी, अपनी जो खोया मैंने है वो खोया मैं रात जाग के रोया रोया रोया। अब इसके पार है तेरा मेरा ठिकाना, अब इसके पार है तेरा मेरा ठिकाना, अब इसके पार है फिर तुझसे दिल लगाना, अब इसके पार है।